Denise, would you do roll call?
Sure. Commissioner Dent?
Present.
Commissioner Ghazi?
Present.
Commissioner Das?
Present.
Commissioner Winkler?
Present.
Commissioner Cowan? She's not here. Commissioner Sobel?
Here.
Commissioner Cass? She'll be here later. Oh, hold on one moment, please. She's here. Excuse me. Let her in. Okay. Councilwoman Nelson?
Here.
Councilman Wadima?
I am here also.
Okay, do I have everyone?
And,
Hi guys, I'm here.
Yes, I mentioned your name before you got it. Oh, and Vice Chair.
Your graduation.
Thank you.
Actually, to complicate things, now that we've gone all the way through, did we need to state our location?
True.
Oh, that's right.
That's true.
Judah
Thank
Garber here
you.
from Ann Arbor.
Leslie Stambaugh, Ann Arbor.
Aiden Silva, Ann Arbor.
Diana Cass, Plymouth.
Linda Winkler, Watertown, Massachusetts.
Aisha
Ghazi Edwin, Ann Arbor.
Philip Das, Ann Arbor.
Pam Dent, Ypsilanti.
Okay.
Travis Redina, Ann Arbor, and that was also like the smoothest I've ever seen that happen.
Wow.
Thank
Elizabeth
you.
Nelson, Ann Arbor.
Here, and I took my mind off of it. Thank you, Councilmember Regina. Okay, you have a quorum.
Okay, agenda. First of all, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda as written.
Second.
Discussion. I have some changes. Does anybody else have changes that they'd like to make? And we'll do my changes. I want to add something for now a miscellaneous under administration after the scheduling. And I want to change the title of old business to be resolution in support of heightened sensitivity by city leaders to the impact of speech on others. Any discussion? Any other changes? All in favor?
Aye.
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 I think roll call is accepted agenda is approved. Minutes. Can we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Aye.
Philip, second.
Second.
Aiden. Discussion. Does anybody have any changes that they'd like to see made to the minutes? None? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are accepted. This is going to be a fast meeting, maybe. Okay. Fair Chance Housing poster. Did everybody see a copy of the poster? Any comments about it? Poster looks like, how do I do that? Never mind. I guess you can't see it. Oh, I see. The poster can be found on our website. Linda, do you have any more to say about this poster?
No, I mean, Margie came up with an initial draft, and then several of us provided feedback, and communications made it look spiffy. And now it's currently posted on one of the city's web pages having to do with tenants' rights. and it will be posted on ours shortly. And I mean, the other update on this is that Nick and IT and Leslie and I and others have worked on this new complaint form for the Fair Chance Access to Housing Ordinance. And it looks like it's about ready. Nick just made some further changes, and it should be fill it out online sort of form, should be on our web page shortly.
And this is in regard to the new ordinance that was just passed that requires landlords not to use history of incarceration or felonies against them when selecting people to rent. Selecting renters, to give them a fair chance at getting housing. I think that's all that needs to be said.
I was wondering though, is there going to be any kind of old-fashioned poster, actual paper poster hanging in various places where it is possible to hang these? Because obviously it gets more visibility very often when people are walking by it. I don't know how many people are going to be visiting it on our websites.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I don't have the ordinance in front of us. The landlords are required to get a copy of it. So they would download it. They would include it in their rental application materials. They're required to do that under the ordinance. And I think the ordinance says they're required to post it, but I'm not 100% sure about that. The thing is, these days, so many people apply online, they don't walk into an actual office. And if it's a small mom and pop sort of landlord, they wouldn't have an office. So it somehow, hopefully, will be incorporated into the materials that that the applicants are given. I mean, we do need to probably think about an education piece of this soon.
Mm-hmm. And certainly if you think of places where it could be posted profitably, let us know. We can put it out there, or people can download it from our website and post it on bulletin boards and things where they think people will see it. Glad you asked that. Anything else about the poster? Just wanted everybody to be aware of it. Anti-Asian hate town hall is something that we have been working on. And I just want people to know that we have met, and it's not going as quickly as we wanted, but there has been some outreach. I think we can get people to speak. We can get the police chief, and we need to finalize plans. And I think we probably need to do it to be the main people who are planning it. Anything else about that? Any questions? I just wanted you to get an update about it. Crew study group. Yeah.
Oh, I just wanted to jump in and say, I know that we've been having, it's been a little bit slow in organizing, but the commission, MAPAC, I talked to them again, and we're more than willing to have commissioners join or other community leaders. And we can bring in, Asian Americans in Ann Arbor who are prominent and active in the community. So I think that the most important is that the Asian American community in Ann Arbor is asking for it. And we have this opportunity to be a resource to them. So I think that I agree with you. We should just move forward.
Yeah. I think there's interest in it, and I think we can do a good job.
Yeah.
So expect that soon. We'll keep you informed.
Yeah, and I'll join the next planning meeting to help out in any way that I can.
Thank you. Well,
yeah,
that would be very helpful.
Sure thing.
Crew study group. Pam, can you give some kind of an update? I did put something in the meeting materials about the meeting, not the last meeting, but the meeting before last. And maybe you can update people.
So CREW, just as a reminder, is Citizens for Racial Equity in Washtenaw. Did a report that came out in August of last year, and Leslie Judah, Kathy Wyatt from the Sheriff's Office. We've had Belinda Dumas from Dispute Resolution periodically come and join us, and
Mohammed.
yes, and Mohammed from ICPOC, along with is it a Mary?
Anan.
Anan. Okay, Mary is her last name. And for the most part, just about anyone that we think can provide additional information as it relates to the report and how we, as a subgroup of the study, can either offer our services or obtain additional information that would benefit the citizenry. So the most recent participant that was invited, thank you, Leslie, was our own county prosecutor, Ellie Sabat. And Ellie shared with us several things that he has implemented since taking on the responsibility of prosecutor in January. He reports that the CREW report just scratched the surface, that we needed to drill down into the data, and that what they noted is that minorities are charged 4 times more felonies, specifically Blacks, than whites. The CREW report focused on felonies primarily, and there's a team that meets weekly from his office. They received, the prosecutor's office received an ACLU grant to do projects, and their main one of their main focus is transparency, looking into the racial disparities, trends out of the prosecutor's office, other prosecutors' offices, and what they're doing. And so the most recent legislation that either has come from the Michigan legislature or that they have implemented out of the prosecutor's office are 3 main things. The cash bail, no longer seeking that from the prosecutor's office. They've established a group called Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion Deflection. And what this is it's a pre-booking program. They have resources that are given to people to divert them away from the system and keep them out of jail. And then there's a third one that specifically targets sex workers. They're no longer pursuing charges against them because they want to encourage them to report crimes that they historically do not. And so he gave us an excellent overview of some of the things that he's doing. I personally looked up Ellie's bio, and it reads like an encyclopedia. There is nothing this man has not done or is not doing. Phenomenal and excellent for our county. Kathy Wyatt was present and seconded that. They do work hand in hand, the prosecutor's office along with the sheriff's office. He's trying to establish the same rapport with the chief of police for the city of Ann Arbor. But what they have found, he said, is that the best crime prevention recommendation for young people is investing in them. Give them something to do, mentor them. And they have an academy at Sycamore Meadows. It's a sports academy for young people. They found, no surprise here, that Black and Brown communities have been devastated by mass incarceration. And the other biggie is that Michigan legislature recently allows, you may recall that Erie did this last year, but you can get your criminal records expunged. And he said soon they will be able to have the records automatically expunged after 7 years, but you do have to apply. So in a sense, it's automatic, but you still got to make application. It's not just going to be white claim for that. He said that they have a pilot program through the prosecutor's office with the 15th District Court. It's a pre-plea program. Say that 3 times, quickly. But they are also have a grant to hire a program coordinator and a designated prosecutor just to address this. So a ton of things that he's doing. I don't think the man sleeps, but at any rate, it was wonderful having him present. We're learning a lot of just how the system works and how it has adversely impacted minorities. We got a brief history last our last meeting, which was earlier in the month, from the probation department. And with recent legislation, some of their things have changed. That's the notes that Leslie alluded to earlier that you have in your packets for tonight. But our county is distinguishing itself nationally, especially through the sheriff's office, with doing some excellent, creative, innovative things that benefit the citizen. Wonderful speaking with them. Of course, not enough time, but always open and available. And he did say that their policies and procedures, everything is on the website. So if anybody wants to look further into some of those things, it's a lot, but I can't say enough good about what Ellie presented and what he's doing for the county. Excellent to have him working for us. And so I just look for more and more and better things to come, not only from his office, but to ultimately benefit all of us.
One of the other things, you covered that really well. One of the other things he said, though, and I know Arian Slay also is very strong about this, is that expungement is going to be very, they're going to try to get as much benefit from that policy as possible. And Ellie Savitt gave us some materials that we could post on our website about how to approach this and how to get it done. And I wondered if anybody had any thoughts about any problems with having something like that put on our website. It seems appropriate to me. But if anybody has any problem with that, let me know, please, or mention it now so we can discuss it. I hear no one. I see no one. Okay. Well, thank you. No one has any questions of Pam about what this is about or what we're doing. Okay. We talked about scheduling a strategic planning meeting, and I was supposed to do a doodle. And the first thing I found out is that Linda was going to be gone for 3 weeks, or is it 3 weeks or 2 weeks, whatever it is. But I mean, and vacations are so important. I would really appreciate it if people would start by let me know when you're not going to be here so that I can doodle around it and we can come up with a time, hopefully when everybody can be present. It would really be nice to be present, to have it in person, especially if we really want an in-person affair, and I don't know if we do, but that we'd like to at least try. We want people present. Next meeting, speaking of in-person and on-site, we have the option next time. Denise tells me that the City Hall is going to be open on June 6th, I think. Is that right, Denise?
You mean July?
July? Yes, I think
July 6th.
July 6th.
Day after the 4th.
Which means that theoretically we could meet in person. Is there anybody who wants to meet in person? Or would you like to continue meeting on Zoom for a while? I think we have at least until December to do
December 31st.
Okay.
I'd love to see you all in person. If it's, if anybody has any sort of concerns or anything like that, I think that with the vaccines and our preventative measures, it would be safe to do so. But if we continue doing this, I'm of course fine seeing you guys over Zoom as well.
Well, let's at least say for July we will meet on Zoom and keep asking, and maybe more people will be interested in doing it in person.
The one thing I was going to say is summer might be, so here I am in Massachusetts and I'm really glad I can be at the meeting.
Right.
That might be true for other people over the course of the summer. Maybe we can shoot for September or something.
I think that might be wise. And maybe that means that our strategic planning meeting should be in Zoom too. I don't know. But we'll find that out when we doodle. Anybody have any problems with meeting in Zoom for our next meeting? Okay. I wanted to make a couple announcements. One is that June 19th is Juneteenth, the holiday, and it is now an official Ann Arbor holiday. And June 19th is on a Saturday. I think it's always on the third Saturday of the month. And I want you to know that NAACP is having celebration events, but they are not going to have the traditional Wheeler Park extravaganza. They're going to have it from 9 o'clock to, I don't know, maybe to noon. I don't know how long it takes. They're going to march from Fuller, I think, to, I wrote it down, but I can't even read my handwriting. I think they're marching from Fuller Park to Wheeler Park. Yes. And then at 12 o'clock, they're having a celebration, and you have to email them to get the Zoom invitation, but they're having a virtual celebration. But please feel free to join. I also want to mention that June is Pride Month, and wondered if people had events that we ought to be involved with. Or we ought to, that do they want to announce here about Pride Month? But if not,
I think a lot of people for a lot of communities for Pride Month are doing things in the future. Ann Arbor Pride will be in the future. Ferndale. I know Ypsilanti is doing something, some sort of event every Friday, I think for the month of June. They had a vendor, or they're having a vendor night. They're doing kind of a family night one night. It's on Fridays downtown in Ypsi. But a lot of Motor City Pride is going to be like in September now. So I think a lot of these larger events, take months of planning, and nobody could plan them because nothing had opened up. So we may see some things happening, in the future for that. I also wanted to mention that Juneteenth is typically celebrated on June 19th every June, because that is the date that finally the proclamation regarding slavery reached Galveston, Texas. And so it's just June 19th. I know that's what we do. We celebrate it on June 19th at work. Just a side note.
Thank you. Okay.
And Leslie, Diana can certainly correct me as well, since she's also still Jim Toy Center. The Jim Toy Center has always hosted Ann Arbor Pride in August. And my understanding, unless something has changed recently, is that we're planning again. Last year it was virtual Pride. And I think that Ann Arbor Pride is still going to be mostly virtual this year. I know at some point the Pride Committee was talking about having some, rather than having one big large event like would normally happen, maybe having some watch parties at some allied businesses to help support local businesses, but also allow smaller gatherings. So places like Bill's Beer Garden and Blue Llama, and places that have traditionally supported Pride. And so that might be something that would be coming up as well, but Ann Arbor Pride has always fallen on that first weekend in August.
Okay, would that be on the Jim Toy Center website, or?
It's actually, I think, just AnnArborPride.com.
Ann Arbor Pride, thank you. The pandemic has really affected us in all kinds of weird places. And sometimes in a good way, and sometimes not so good way. Crown Amendment, update and additions. First of all, I want you to know that it was passed unanimously. Thank you very much, Elizabeth and Travis for bringing it to our attention, and both of you for supporting it. And let's see, what else? And in addition, Travis had an addition he wanted to add. And I wanted to talk about that for a few minutes. Travis, do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I can. So as we anticipated, there were likely other things that folks could think of that came along with this, and one of the constituents who reached out suggested that we also should consider including protections for religious hairstyles and religious head coverings. And it was suggested that we should amend the existing one, but rather than do that kind of on the fly, I forwarded it along to Leslie and responded to the constituent that I would, because it would likely actually probably fall under a different definition.
Right.
And so we wanted to make sure that we had time to draft it appropriately and not just add it on in the wrong place in the ordinance. And so that is something that I forwarded along to Leslie for the group to consider as you continue to look at additions and changes as well. And it's been a long week. I actually think we still have to vote on this one more time to make it official. I think we passed first reading, but I don't anticipate any major setbacks with this one.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think you're right. Does anybody have any thoughts about the head covering, religious head coverings or hairstyles that they'd want to add? Or I mean, is that something you're willing to do? I've been thinking about it, and I also realized that it'd be easy just to do the religious one. But I also realized that there may be, if we're talking about coverings and hairstyles especially, I wondered about things like facial hair, like baldness. That could be because of health reasons, because of preference, because you can't help it. I mean, are there other things that we should be covering while we're doing this, or will that be good enough? The religious hair the coverings. And there, I think we're talking primarily yarmulkes and hijabs and turbans. Is there anything else that needs to be covered? Yeah, Linda?
My suggestion is that 2 of us or 3 of us sit down and try to work on this instead of doing it here, and also consult with Margie, who maybe can draft it in response to whatever we're thinking. And Travis, if you have any further thoughts, or I don't know what the constituent exactly said, but if you could pass that along to us, that would be great. So I'd be glad to work on it if anybody else wants to join me.
Yeah, I'd be happy to work on it too.
Okay, good.
And I'm happy to forward that along. I didn't forward it. Oh, okay. I didn't forward it to the entire group, but I'm happy to forward it to Linda. I can forward it to the entire group. I just sent it to Leslie initially.
Yeah.
But yeah, Linda, Diana, and Aisha, I appreciate that. And I agree. I think that this is one. I mean, we had model language that had been that was pretty clear from Crown for the other one, but so this one we might want to pull in Margie and just make sure that the language is correct.
Okay.
Just as a reminder, is Crown the one that the representative from Lansing proposed at the State House?
Yes, yeah. So State Representative Sarah Anthony, Felicia Brayback, and Yusuf Rabi, along with a bunch of others, have all introduced it at the state level as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Then we will be looking at it. Which brings us to the draft resolution in support of heightened sensitivity by city leaders to the impact of speech on others. We have a proposal and an option B. Any discussion? They're not that different, but You have at least two choices here, and that's all I've heard. Should we have a motion to approve?
Can
Yeah.
I did send along, I don't know if, when I got the second one, I sent along comments, just little tiny changes. So depending on which one we like or some combination. The main difference is the additional resolve clause on the first one that isn't on the second one. I think that's the main difference.
It's on the second one and not the first one. It's on B.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's really a question of, do you want to end on that sort of forward-looking, we want the city leaders and city staff to treat everybody respectfully and whatever else it says there, and welcome people into the democratic process? Or do you want to end it on the other note, which is we condemn offensive and hate speech? That's really the choice. And in any case, I was just going to say, let's see, what was it? I would get rid of on that next to last one or last one, where it says it is resolved that we, the Human Rights Commission, condemn the use of offensive and or hateful speech by all, especially elected officials. I would probably get rid of by all, and I would either just put a period there, or if you like especially elected officials, I would probably change that to government officials, because I don't think we want to limit it just to elected officials who can in fact be removed by a vote. But I'm happy with either of them with that change.
Okay.
I support the government, replacing the
official?
government with elected, yeah.
So
And-
you get rid of by all, so we just say condemn the use of offensive and or hateful speech, especially by government officials. Does that sound all right? I mean, I don't know. Or we can just say period and go on to that last resolve clause, which is we want people to behave respectfully. It's your choice.
Other thoughts? Do people like government officials rather than elected officials, if we keep that? Aiden says yes. Anybody else?
Just a quick question, Leslie, and I apologize. I've got some grass cutting going on in the background.
Oh.
But a quick question, and that is in reference to what Linda just said, and clarifying, this is addressing the comments made by Council Member Hayner.
This is really, it's triggered
not,
by that, but it's not addressing it.
Okay, but it's speaking to, and it's directly attributed to the fact that he did engage in this conduct.
That's
and so my question is, do we want to limit it, and do I think as the Human Rights Commission for the city of Ann Arbor, I'm not opposed to what has been proposed, but I'm thinking it should be maybe even a little broader to say including but not limited to governmental officials. So that anyone who engages in this conduct, we're going on record saying it's prohibited.
So now it says, right now it says by all, especially government officials or elected officials. And Linda is suggesting that we say, we drop the by all, but say especially by, which assumes by all.
Or we can just say that we, the Human Rights Commission, condemn the use of offensive and or hateful speech, period.
Period. We could do that.
And then go on, if you like, that last more upbeat, forward-looking paragraph or resolve. Because I did have a problem with the especially for the same reason that you did.
Right.
It's-
Yeah.
But it fits in this because that is what we're trying to address.
Right.
So. Anybody else? Does anybody like that other last paragraph in the first last resolve clause in the first draft?
Does everybody know what we're talking about? Okay, because you've got two versions, an A and a B. So one of them has two resolves and one of them has one resolve. Do you like the two resolves or the one resolve? No comment. Diana?
Oh, sorry, just the one resolve. I think I
Okay.
like kind of just the period. I like straight to the point.
I would have to agree with that as well. I'm not opposed to having both, but in terms of preference, I agree with Diana.
Okay. So
Yeah,
one resolve.
I agree with Linda. Just doing a period, because if we start specifying especially, we just don't want it to be misconstrued as limiting.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that just making a blanket statement is the best approach
Okay.
here.
I agree.
So now it would be one resolve that says that we as the Human Rights Commission, comma, condemn the use of offensive and or hateful speech, period. Okay. Are we ready to vote on it?
Sorry, I have one more question.
Okay.
That title that we have there was the title for the draft from last time, and it's changed significantly since then. So I don't know if it accurately captures what the resolution says now, or if it should be stronger and say something like resolution condemning offensive and or hateful speech or something like that, or whether you want to leave it as it is, which is also fine. Because we do talk about city leaders in here, although some people might take issue with heightened sensitivity as not being strong enough. I don't know. I'm fine with either one. I'm just raising the question.
Yeah, I think I'd like to change the title to reflect the resolution, which would be resolution condemning hateful speech or something like that.
Offensive and or hateful?
Offensive, yeah, offensive and or
Right.
hateful speech is that. And or is a little clunky, but it's correct.
Any other thoughts? Are you willing to vote on that? On the whole bag with that title? Can we have a motion?
I move we adopt the discussed changed resolution with the and or hateful speech title and the only the one resolution as discussed.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. I think we've got it. Finally, we have a proposition from Aisha about another class project that we could be participating in. Aisha, you want to talk about it a little bit?
Oh, sure, yeah. So essentially it would be, the same project as it would be useful to the commission, where I'm teaching a policy course in social work during the fall semester. And issues that we feel that we'd like further investigation on or research on that we could benefit from. We could break the students into groups and they could conduct research and compose reports for us and do final presentations and then give us that material. So it's, ongoing for our usage to help us in developing ordinances or whatever it may be.
We have a great bank of information from the last year's class. So this would be another kind of thing like that. Would it also be two classes?
It would just be one. It would just be one this time around.
So we need fewer. We probably will need 5 topics.
Yeah.
Right, to come up with. Do people remember the last class that we participated in?
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
it was fantastic. I thought it was really helpful because a lot of times what we need is somebody to kind of gather the data, and sometimes that's time consuming. And so I thought it was very, very helpful. So, you know, if the class can do it and they can get the credit for it, and then it's a win-win, I think.
It is something we might be talking about.
I second that. It was I was just going to say it was insightful and inspiring, frankly, to see what they came up with, and helpful to us.
Yeah, I thought so
That
too.
was great to hear. And the students learned a lot too. And it also led to other, you know, interests from other schools. So I've had someone in the School of Architecture reach out to me and said, "Are you doing this project again?" So I think there's a possibility here where we could kind of have interdisciplinary, even like, I want to say we could consult with interdisciplinary like students or departments on issues that we're investigating. So yeah, I think it was really beneficial for the students, and I think it was beneficial for us.
It also might be very beneficial for us to think about the topics during our strategic planning or in conjunction with our strategic planning, because they really do go hand in hand. Topics that we're interested in, that we will love to have free research done on.
Right. That's a great idea.
Is there anybody who's got any objection to us planning this collaboration again? No, I don't see anybody. So we'll do it.
Awesome.
Okay. Okay.
And I'll reach back out. Leslie and I will reach back out about, you know, getting together a list of topics. Mm-hmm. And as any of you are able or willing to participate, and when I mean participate, I mean, you know, being available for an interview with a group of students on an issue to give background or context, that would be great too. And I'll send those opportunities as they come up.
Super. Very exciting.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, this has been a short meeting, but we have finished the agenda. There's time for Commissioner communications if you'd like. Is anybody interested in doing that before we close? I have to apologize for such a short meeting. I know your hearts are all broken, but.
Never apologize for a short meeting.
We're doing fine.
An efficient meeting. It was an efficient.
Oh, and we should congratulate Aiden for moving to Ann Arbor, by the way.
I'm back, everybody. Please send me an email if you want to get coffee or move out.
So now you're here. Good.
I don't want to prolong anything. I just want to add something that I've been reading, that there are some courts, particularly in Germany, and I think it may be a wave, that are proclaiming the climate emergency as a human rights issue that needs to be attended to. And I just want to put that on people's radar as we move forward and the climate emergency continues to impact particularly low income and communities of color. So this is an environmental justice issue as well. In fact, the U of M carbon neutrality plan wraps environmental justice deeply embedded within their plan, which is, I think, a forward-looking way to think about it. But I just wanted to put that on our radar, to think about climate emergency and environmental justice as a human rights issue.
Thanks, Philip. Could you send us that German finding by the court or whatever?
Yeah, yeah, let me track it down.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And I'll find it, yep.
Great. Anything else people want to share with us? I see nothing. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
See you next.